Hello students, today we are going to start new chapter which is ratio and proportion. Before starting ratio and proportion, we will solve one question of commercial arithmetic which I missed in the last class. Okay, so this is the question. So every month a person deposits 2000 in his RD account. RD account is recurring deposit account for 2 years at 5% simple interest per annum. What would be the amount at the end of second year? Okay, so recurring deposit account is an account which you deposit monthly. The money is deposited monthly. Okay, so every month a person deposits 2000. That means, and this happens for 2 years. That means first month you deposit 2000, second month again you deposit 2000, third month you deposit 2000, and this happens for 24 months because it is 2 years, right? So first month, so this amount, this 2000 is there in the RD account for 24 months, right? This 2000 is there in the RD account for 23 months. So on this 2000 you get interest for 24 months. Second 2000 you get interest for 23 months. Okay, third 2000 you get interest for 22 months. Fourth 2000 you get interest for 21 months. Okay, and on 24th month, the last 2000, you get interest for 1 month. Right? So first 2000 you get interest for 24 months, second 2000 you earn interest for 23 months, third 2000 you earn interest for 22 months, and so on, right? So how do you calculate interest? Okay, so now principal amount. So for first month it is 2000, second month 2000 plus 2000, it becomes 4000, third month 2000, 2000, 2000, the principal becomes 6000, right? So let you keep principal as 2000. Okay, so this makes the calculation easy. Let the principal amount be 2000 because for 1 month, and let's see how many months interest you are getting. Okay, so when you total this, 24 plus 23 plus 22 plus 21 plus 20 plus 19 plus 18 till 1. Okay, when you total this in your when you calculate in your calculator, it comes to 300 months. Okay, so to calculate number of months, there is a formula which is n into n plus 1 divided by 2. When you have to add some number, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus and so on till n, the formula is n into n plus 1 divided by 2. Okay, so here it is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus till 24, right? Because 24 months. So the formula will become 24 into 24 plus 1, which is 25 divided by 2, and when you calculate this, it comes to 300. Okay, so the formula for 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on till n, the formula is n into n plus 1 by 2. Okay, so in this particular sum, okay, it is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus till 24. So 24 into 25 divided by 2, it comes to 300. So total number of months is 300. Okay, and it is a simple interest question, right? So every month a person deposits 2000 in his RD account for 2 years at 5% simple interest per annum. What would be the amount at the end of second year? So okay, so principal, I'll say it is 2000, right? N, that is period. I'll just write simple interest formula. Okay, so simple interest is equal to P into N into R. right? P is 2000, okay? N is number of months, which is 300 divided by 12. N is period, right? So 300 months, so 300 divided by 12. And R is 5%, so 5 upon 100. And when you calculate this, it comes to I'll use a calculator. 2000 into 300 divided by 12 into 5 divided by 100, right? So it comes to 2500. So simple interest is 2500. Okay. Now, what would be the amount at the end of second year? Okay, they have asked amount. Amount is equal to principal plus interest. Okay, every month for 24 months you have deposited 2000, right? So principal is equal to 2000 into 24 months, which comes to 48,000. So total you have deposited 48,000. Interest you have earned 2,500. So amount will be 48,000 plus 2,500, which comes to 50,500. So amount is 50,500. So this way you will solve if question is asked for RD account. Okay, you have to calculate number of months. Okay, so same question, if I change this question, every month a person deposits, instead of 2000 I'll write 1000, okay, in his RD account for 2 years 6 months. Okay, for 2 years 6 months at 5% simple interest, what would be the amount at the end of the period, at the end of 2 years 6 months, at the end of the given period? Okay, this is the question. I want all my students to solve this. Okay, this is the question. So in this case the period is 2 years 6 months, so N is 2 years plus 6 months, so that is 24 months plus 6 months, so 30 months, correct? So 30 months means total number of months would be 30 plus 29 plus 28 plus 27, right? That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus till 30, right? So my simple interest is equal to P into N into R. When principal is 1000, okay, N is 30 months, but first 1000 your investment is for 30 months, second 1000 investment is for 29 months, right? So you get interest for 30 months, then 29 months, then 28 months, and so on, right? So my number of months would be 30 into 31 divided by 2. N into n plus 1 divided by 2. Right? So n is equal to 30 into 31 divided by 2. So which comes to, let's calculate. 30 into 31 divided by 2. So it comes to 465. So total 465 months. So 1000 you are investing for 465 months. So 465 divided by 12 into interest. Interest is 5%. So 5 upon 100. So when you calculate this, 1000 into 465 divided by 12 into 5 divided by 100. Okay. So this comes to 1937.5. 1937.5. So simple interest is 1937. Okay. And you are supposed to calculate amount, right? And principal amount is 1000, which has been 1000 you are depositing for 30 months. So it comes to 30,000. So amount will be principal plus simple interest. Correct? So 30,000 plus simple interest is 1937.5. So 31,937.5. Okay. So this way you solve this kind of problems. This question was asked in 2015 paper. Okay, and the previous question was asked in 2019 paper. Okay. Now let's start ratio and proportion. Okay. So ratio and proportion. First, let us see what is ratio. A ratio is a relationship between two or more variables. The variable should be of same unit and same kind. It is always expressed by a fraction obtained by dividing first number by the second. The ratio of two quantities may be denoted as, now suppose the two quantities are A and B. So when I say ratio of two quantities A and B may be denoted by A is to B. Okay. The ratio is expressed as fraction also, like this, A by B, where A, that is numerator is called antecedent. And the denominator B is called as consequent. Okay. Let's see the first question. Find the ratio compounded of 2:3, 4:7 and 6:15. So how do you solve that? Find the ratio compounded of 2:3, 4:7 and 6:15. So I'll just change the color first. Okay. So find the ratio compounded of 2:3, 4:7 and 6:15. So how you will solve? So 2/3 into 4/7 into 6 by 15. When you multiply, it comes to, when you multiply the numerator, 2 into 4 into 6, it comes to 48. 3 into 7 into 15, it comes to 315. Okay, and then you reduce it as much as possible. So you can divide by 3, divide the numerator and denominator by 3. Okay, and keep on reducing. When you keep on reducing, it comes to yeah, you can only like reduce once. 3 ones are 3, right? And then 1 carry, 3 6 are 18. Okay, and here 3 ones are 3, 3 zeros are 0, and then 3 5s are 15. So 16 by 105. You can't reduce more. Okay, so 16 is to 105. Next question. Divide rupees 28 between two men in the ratio of 2:5. Okay, so 28 you have to divide between two men in the ratio 2:5. So how do you divide? Okay, so take the sum of the ratio. So sum of the ratio is 2 plus 5, which is 7. So first share is equal to 28 into 2 by 7, and second share 28 into 5 by 7. So 28 into 2 by 7, it comes to rupees 8. 28 into 5 by 7, it comes to rupees 20. Okay, so rupees 8 and rupees 20 are in the ratio of 2:5. Okay, next problem of ratio. The two numbers are in the ratio 5:7 if the sum of the numbers is 195. Okay, the two numbers, suppose A and B are two numbers, when you total it, it comes to 195. Okay, and A and B are in the ratio of 5 and 8. So how do you solve this? So let the two numbers be 5x and 8x. Okay, so let the two numbers be 5x and 8x. Okay, let the numbers be 5x and 8x. So you know that 5x plus 8x is equal to 195, right? So 5x plus 8x is 13x. So 13x is equal to 195. So x is equal to 195 divided by 13. And when you divide this, it comes to 15. So x is equal to 15. So let us find the numbers. So the two numbers are 5x and 8x. And x is 15. So 5 into 15 is 75. And 8x is 8 into 15, which is 120. So the numbers are 75 and 120. Okay. Now let us see what is proportion. Okay. So proportion is the equality between two or more ratios If we express the fact that one ratio is equal to another ratio, then it forms a proportion. That is the ratio. If I say ratio A is to B is equal to ratio C is to D, okay, so there are 4 terms, which is A, B, C, D, are said to be in proportion. So when I say ratio A is to B is equal to ratio C is to D, that means A, B, C, D are in proportion. Okay. So when I say this, the A and D, these 2 digits A and D are called as extremes, and B and C, the middle terms, are called as means. Okay, so in every proportion, when A is to B is equal to C is to D, okay, in that case A into D is equal to B into C. Okay, so AD is equal to BC. When A is to B is equal to C is to D, when 2 ratios are in proportion, in that case AD is equal to BC. Okay, now let's see the first problem. A man can make 12 pencils in 15 minutes. How long will it take him to make 96 pencils? Okay, so you don't know how much time it will take. It will take for a man to make 96 pencils. So let the time taken be X. Let the time taken be X. So for 96 pencils, suppose it took X minutes. Okay, so ratio of pencils is 12 pencils and 96 pencils. So 12 is to 96. Okay, and ratio of time is 15 minutes and X minutes. So 15 minutes is to X, right? So 12 is to 12 is to 96 is equal to 15 is to X. So you know the product of extremes is equal to product of means, right? So 12x is equal to 96 into 15. So x is equal to 96 into 15. Let's see how much it is. (96) into 15, 1440, divide by 12, it comes to 120. Okay, so x is equal to 96 into 15 divided by 12, which comes to 120. So 120 minutes. Okay, so time taken to make 96 pencils is 120 minutes, and 120 minutes is 2 hours, right? So how long will it take him to make 96 pencils? The answer is 2 hours. Okay, now what is direct proportion? If a labor earns wages at the rate rupees 12 per day, let us see what is direct proportion. Okay, so quantities are said to be in direct proportion when an increase or decrease in one kind accompanied by increase or decrease in other. That is, suppose now in the given example, if the labor earns wages at 12 rupee per day. So if a labor earns wages at 12 rupee per day, that means if he works for 1 day, he'll earn 12 rupee. If he works for 2 days, he will earn 24 rupees. If he works for 3 days, he will earn 36 rupees, right? So number of days keeps on increasing, number of wages also, the amount of wages also keeps on increasing. So that is direct proportion. When one ratio keeps on increasing, the other also keeps on increasing. If one ratio goes on decreasing, the other ratio also decreases. Okay, so that is direct proportion. Okay, so in the given example, the number of days is increasing, the wages also is increasing. So that is direct proportion. Okay, let's see what is inverse proportion. So quantities are said to be in inverse proportion when an increase of a kind of accompanied by decrease in other. Okay, now so in this case, suppose the speed, if the speed of a train, this is in kilometer per hour, okay, kilometer per hour, and time taken is for 150 kilometers. Okay, so if the train speed is 10 kilometer per hour, to travel 150 kilometers, it will take 15 minutes. Sorry, it will take 15 hours. Correct? Yeah. If the speed is 10 kilometer per hour, okay, to travel 150 kilometer, it will take 15 hours. If the speed of the train is 15 kilometer per hour, to travel for 150 kilometers, to travel 150 kilometer, time will be taken 10 hours. Okay. If the speed of the train is 20 kilometer per hour, to travel 150 kilometer, it will take 7.5 hours. Right? If the train speed is, so basically the train speed keeps on increasing, time taken keeps on decreasing. Right? So one quantity is increasing, the other quantity is decreasing. Right? So in that, this is called as inverse proportion. One increases, the other decreases. Okay, so this is called as inverse proportion. In that case, okay, in inverse proportion, A is to B is equal to D is to C. In direct proportion, A is to B is equal to C is to D. Okay, so A, B, C, D. In case of inverse proportion, you reverse C and D. So A is to B is equal to C is to D. So in direct proportion, what you do, you multiply the extremes. No, so A into D. In case of direct proportion, what happens? A into D is equal to B into C. But in case of inverse proportion, A into C is equal to B into D. Okay, so that is the difference. Understanding? And next one is continued proportion. In continued proportion, what happens? Now A, B, C, D, E and so on are in continued proportion. That means A by B is equal to B by C is equal to C by D. So denominator of the first ratio becomes the numerator of the next ratio. Okay, so this is called as continued proportion. Now in this case, what happens? A is to B is equal to B is to C. So here the extremes are A and C. So AC is equal to B square. Okay, so this is the formula in case of continued proportion. Got it? Okay. So problems on proportion we will be solving in the next class. That's it for the day, students. Have a great day. Thank you very much.